And joining us now for our February Progressive Agriculture Foundation safety message, pleased to have with us here once again our good friend Jana Davidson with the Progressive Agriculture Foundation. Jana, always a pleasure to catch up with you. I hope you're doing well.
I am doing well, Jesse, and I hope you're doing well as well.
Yeah, things are good here. Things are good here. Let's talk about burn related injuries. How can we prevent these burn related injuries? I know that is the topic you're talking about in the month of February and specifically avoiding scalds. So let's start there. Why don't you talk about this a little bit, Jana?
Sure. And the reason we're talking about this today, Jesse, is because February spotlights some burn related incidents. So I think we just celebrated here February 5th through 11th, National Burn Awareness Week. And this year, their focus was on scald. So I thought this is a great time for us to talk about that a little bit more and shed some light on what are some of the common ways that this happens so we can avoid them. And just a few, I always like to start out with some statistics because some folks might be thinking, okay, is this really a concern? How bad are burn related injuries? So, here in the United States alone, annually, there's about 400,000 individuals that seek medical attention for burn injuries each year. So that's a big number to begin with. And then if we look back at some 2020 data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, they said that burns were among the top 10 causes of non-fatal injuries in children under the age of 4, but they were also among the 5 major causes of death in individuals 65 and under. So it affects all of us. And they do say that 70% of burns happen in our home. And like most injuries, they happen when we least expect it. No one's ever setting ourselves up to have a burn related injury, but they happen because we're multitaskers. We're trying to do sometimes too much, doing things in a hurry. So I just wanted to shed some light today on some of the things that we could do to prevent them in the home. And then, well, I said 70% happen in the home, about 10% happen in the workplace, which could be our farm. So I think it's also nice to shed some light on things that we could be doing, not necessarily scald related incidents, but just burn related incidents that could happen on the farm and how we could, set ourselves up to be safe.
Well, let's talk first about in the home. What are some things that we could do to prevent burn related injuries at home, Jana?
Okay, so the first one, a temperature check. This could be if we have little ones at home and we have our bathing routine every night, just making sure that we're testing that water before we put our child in there, before, as the water's running. This I noticed could really be a problem if you travel. So sometimes we know our water, usually at our home, it's worth checking, but we know kind of the temperature check. But I just recently traveled and, going to a hotel room or staying at someone else's, their temperature gauges are very different. Like there's sometimes the hot water is scalding hot. So we do need to check that and not just assure that, it's going to be okay. Cause that could really lead our child or, to setting them up for some burns that, really as a parent, that would be just so detrimental to do that. The other thing, kind of the same thing with temperature check. I know it's hard to think about it now in February, but as the weather gets nicer, the
Mhm.
kids are going to be heading outside to do some fun activities. And thinking about my kids or thinking about myself as a child, sprinklers and playing with the hose. That was always a fun time. Check the hose because if you have it laying out in the heat and you start that water, it's going to come out scalding hot. So that's just another consideration too. Temperature checks from the bath to the hose. Another one, avoiding a balancing act. This kind of goes with us multitasking. So never hold a child at the same time you're holding a hot beverage, carrying hot foods, or you're cooking. It's putting a child in a dangerous situation, and again can lead to that accidental spill or burn. So that's very important.
Mhm.
One
Mhm.
way that you can do this is by establishing a kid-free zone. So that's from the kitchen stove to even cooking over a campfire, even if we're getting ready here for the warmer months when we'll be outside. Ensure that all the children have a buffer of at least 3 feet in areas where cooking is going to happen or food's being prepared. It's just a safe practice. And again, we kind of instill these practices too at our safety day. We always, when we're dealing with not just food, but animals and things that could be a danger for a child. We always talk about barriers in place for that child. That's just,
Mhm.
and it's important when we're thinking about burns as well. Handle with care is our fourth. So when taking food out of the microwave, off the stove top from the oven, always use oven mitts. And try to avoid any remove up spills, things like that, in a timely manner, but also realize that those could be hot. So just always take caution. I think that's probably where we see a lot of burns. Some things, oh, I'll get, especially out of the microwave, oh,
Mhm.
it'll be hot, and then it really is. And again, as you travel, same with the water temperature. As you travel, different microwaves, ovens, things like that have different temperatures. So you always have to be curious. We can't be too complacent, because at home it's always fine. So that's a good thing to remember. And then lastly, safety on the go. So when we're preparing our morning cup of coffee, which we all know we have, tea, hot chocolate, things like that, even for the little ones, if they leave with a hot chocolate, when you're heading out, just ensure that travel mug, the lid's fitting tightly. I think we've heard years ago about burn related incidents that happen at fast food chains.
Mhm.
Happen, and you think about it, they could have that chain reaction, right? You get burnt and you're unexpected, you're driving and you may hit someone else, so it can cause a chain reaction. So again, ensure that those are good. We're using good travel mugs, the lids are on tight, so again, no one's going to get burned or lead to a bad situation.
Jana, let's talk a little bit about on the farm and ranch. What are some things we need to remember there, not only for our children, but for adults as well?
Yes, yes. So one thing is burn injuries are caused by heat, such as fire, electricity, and chemicals, which we know are very prevalent on our farm. So in addition to homes, explosions can happen, causing burn injuries every day on our farm. So it's important for us to use some extra precautions and keep children safe when they're on the farm. And this could be around, equipment, chemicals, and even our stored crops. So just a few tips here too for folks that are on the farm, do have children on the farm. Here are some good tips to keep everyone safe. So for younger children, I always like to say establish that safe play area on the farm, a good distance from the hazards or moving equipment. So kind of think about that safe zone. We said when cooking, keep that safe zone on the farm, so children know what's the play area versus what is the busy workplace. That's really just going to set us up for success in keeping our children safe. Properly store chemicals in safe and secure locations and use signage to indicate danger. So again, children who might not be able to read, they do identify we always think about the Mr. Yuck sticker, but other stickers that are hazardous, they can identify that. But let's even take it a step further. Let's not even have them find that. Let's put it in a stored location where they do not have access to. That's going to be probably our safest bet for our children. Let's implement and follow best practices around monitoring and managing grain to prevent fires and explosions. So our grain related explosions happen a lot too, and again when you least expect it. So again, let's keep not just our children safe, but everyone working on the farm safe, and be cautious of that. And then for older youth who may be helping on the farm, ensure that tasks are always developmentally appropriate for them, and that they receive adequate training in what they're asked to do. And then also that they are wearing personal protective equipment. That PPE is key, and that's going to be important whether they're handling chemicals around grain or using equipment. Again, whether it's burn related or other unsafe practices, we want to eliminate those by using that PPE.
Fantastic. Well, I know folks can learn more online, progressiveag.org, and also could send their kids possibly to an upcoming Progressive Agriculture Safety Day here this year, can't they?
That is true. We just kicked off our season on February 22nd with the first safety day in Kansas, and we have many more to go. It's looking like we have at least 400 planned this year. So go to our website. We have a wonderful section. Actually, we have a new website, so please check it out, progressiveag.org. On there, you will find a tab that says Get Involved, and we can help match you up. If you're wanting to coordinate, if you're wanting to maybe volunteer to Safety Day, or you're just looking for some more information, we can help you go there and can kind of match you up on what you're looking for, and we will give you more information about our program.
Fantastic. Again, progressiveag.org, where you can find more information. Jana Davidson with the Progressive Agriculture Foundation. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us this month. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jesse.